Are you listening? Damn. Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Boss Talks. I'm Christine Drummond and I'm here with my incredible co-host Joel Lord. And today we are bringing you an outstanding podcast full of incredible content. And all we ask you guys to do is just share it. If you love this information, if you love the content, if you're getting value from it, please share it out, because the only fee is actually free information. And we want to help people really live their best life. And to do that, we can only do that if we reach the masses. So please help us with that mission. Excuse me. But today we are talking about the F word, the biggest F word that's getting around right now, and that is fear. And I want to start this podcast today with a quote. And I feel like this quote, really resonated with me when I read it today. And that is that we can easily forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. The real tragedy of life is when men are afraid of the light. Now, to me, I see a lot of people going to their graves, going to their deathbeds with the light still in them. They never tapped into their true potential. They get buried with the inspiration, the creativity, the innovation still within them because they were too scared to push the boundaries. They were too scared to see what they were capable of. It happens all the time. And there's so many people right now that are living in fear, and it's paralyzing them. They're not taking risks. They're not taking action. They're not even scratching the surface of their potential. And we don't want that for our listeners. We don't want that for you. We want you to be able to overcome these fears so that you can raise the vibration of yourself, your family, your community, and the planet. And I feel like if we do that as a society, as a race, we will be better off for it. So today we are talking about fear. We're going to share what some of the major fears are, but I want to bring Joel in right now. Joel, we've been listening to an incredible podcast by Andy Frisilla where he tapped into 5 fears. Do you want to cover some of those and let the listeners know what he was talking about?
Yeah, well, it's a big topic. It's a big topic. We could do a year's worth of podcasts around fear. It is literally the one thing that's going to take you out of the game. It's going to crush your dreams. And realistically, when you go to an event like Kirk Ashley's or Tony Robbins and, you walk across fire, you got to realize that take the first step, you go across, and everything you ever wanted is on the other side of fear. So you got to learn to dance with it. And I think what most people think that they need to do is like eradicate it. I have not found a time where I've done anything like significant where I haven't had some form of fear. It's just that I've learned to go, okay, well, there's fear. It's showing up again. I know how this feels. I'm going to make sure my swords are sharp. Like, Kirk Ashley often says, if you've lost your fear when you're skydiving, it's time to stop skydiving because you'll get sloppy. You won't check your gear. It's the fear that keeps you sharp. It's the fear that, gets you checking your gear, making sure your shoot's great so you actually land on the ground safely and not in another way. So, yeah, we listen. Look, there's fear everywhere at the moment. There's fear everywhere, like all the time. It's just that there's a lot of people feeling intense versions of it right now with the situations going on. So we listen to Andy Frisilla. He's a boss. He'd be welcome on Boss Talks any day he wants to come on. And school us on how to podcast and everything like that and hear his thoughts. But, we recommend you listen to his podcast. And he's done one recently around the 5 fears that you should be feeling right now, not the unfounded ones, because there's plenty out there, fear of, all these crazy things that may or may not happen to you. But here's the fears that you really should be using, because if you use fear, just like when you're in the plane and you're going to jump out, you're using fear to get what you want, which is to land on the ground safely, like to check your gear. Use it as an advantage, not let it overwhelm you and consume you. So this is the things that he said that that you should be scared of now, or you should have fear around now. So fear of mediocrity, like there's so many people out there doing the least that they possibly can just to get by. Like, and we'll go into that a bit more. I'll just go through them. So the fear of insignificance, doing nothing that matters. Like, imagine getting off this planet and going, wow, everything that I did doesn't really matter. Like, so what, I have that nice car. So what, I have that, decent house. None of what I did actually matters. So like, that's something to be frightened of. Like the fear of a life that offends no one. This is a big one for so many people. And like, when he said this, I had to check in on myself as well and go, wow, am I actually standing up for what I believe in? Or am I moving more towards the center of the status quo so I don't offend anyone, so I don't upset anyone? Like, that's crazy. Like, this next one is like regret. This one drove me to pick myself back up and have success. It gets me out of bed every morning. The fear of regret, like how do you check in on that stuff? Like, well, am I happy now? Am I doing what I know I'm put here to do? Am I, do I have what I want? Am I being an example? Like, asking those questions is how you check in on that. And the last thing I want for anyone who's listening to this, especially myself and, my family, my kids, Christine, her family, like the world, is that you die with regret. Like, imagine getting to 80, 90, 100, 110, however long you're going to live, and realizing you played small. That, and you don't have any time left. You can't actually go build that company because you've been given, you can't get out of bed, or you're in hospital, or, time's up. Because there is going to be a point in time where time's going to be up. And you're going to go, holy shit, all that stuff I was frightened of, those other ones that I've mentioned earlier on, they don't matter anymore. You know what I mean? And then the final one, like, and Christine and I are going to pull these apart. Plus I've got some other ones that I have found in an amazing, in my journey, but dying alone. Now, Christine and I spoke about this off air, like where this is Andy Facila's one, and he's putting this out there because at the moment, with what's going on at the moment, there's a lot of people dying alone, and that would be horrible for a lot of people. I don't know. I'm not facing that yet. I'm not sure how that would feel for me. I don't have a charge on it. Although when I think about other people, as Christine said herself, like when she thinks about other people dying alone, like that must be horrible for them. So like instead of being frightened of what the news is saying, and trust me, when whatever's happening right now blows over, they'll find some other bullshit to go on about and make you frightened, because that's how they get you to watch. Like, worry about this stuff, because this stuff is like using fear to actually get your shit together. So Christine, I've got like another ton, but like chime in, like let's pick this apart. Like, what do you think about those?
Yeah, well, I want to touch on the fear of dying alone, or even just the fear of dying for some people is paralyzing. And people that are afraid to die actually forget to live. So not only do they have this fear of dying, now it's spilled over, and now they've got this fear of living. They're fearful of taking risks because of what the outcome could be. They're fearful of, taking action, or of saying something, or having an opinion, because they're afraid of what the consequences could be. Now, do we have any control over when we're going to die? Absolutely not. We have no idea when our day is up, when it's coming. But what I do know is that we have the opportunity, while we are waking up every day, to design our life in a way that fulfills us, to design it in a way that brings us joy and bliss and more of the positive emotions like gratitude and happiness. Or we can choose to be so fearful of death that we start to live in that mentality of fear and play below the line in more of the negative emotions. We've spoken about this a lot on the podcast before, but what we really want you guys to get is like that living a life of mediocrity and insignificance, that scares me. Not being able to leave a legacy, create an impact, even if it's just a legacy for my family, even if it's just being the example and the role model for them, that's enough for me sometimes. But to have nothing to live for, to have no purpose pulling me, that really scares me, and I feel so blessed and so honored that I get to live my day in a way that I am pulled by purpose. You know, I live in inspiration. I don't live in desperation, you know, and we could have totally gone into a desperate mode during what's going on in the world right now. You know, my husband's lost his job, so we've lost a massive financial income, but I'm not focusing on that. I can choose to focus on that and sit in self-pity and fear and go, wow, how are we going to survive? Or I can go, you know what? I'm so grateful that we had a buffer. I'm so grateful that a couple of years ago, I had the heads up to say, there is a recession coming. We're due for it. Start putting things away. And I'm so grateful for that information, because we don't have to worry as much like other people right now. We've got about 6 months where we can comfortably live without an income coming in. Most people can't say that. So what is wealth? Wealth is actually being able to take care of yourselves and live life in a way that is enriching to you. Now, have we had to, you know, limit a few things? Absolutely. Have we had to tighten our belt on a few things? Absolutely. But have we had to go running quickly to the government and rely on things like that? No, we are in control. And we want you guys to be able to do that as well. So let this, of what's going on in the world right now, really fuel you. And I think what I love about Andy is that he uses fear as a driver. You can use fear in the right way, and it can really spur you on to achieve greatness. It can drive you in ways that you've never been driven before. And that, and some of his fears that he mentioned is what drives me and what drives Joel every single day, because we don't want to go to our grave not mattering. We want to know that the difference that we made on this planet mattered to somebody. And I think there's a lot of people out there that feel the same. And I just wanted to really touch on, before I hand it back, Joel, is on worrying about people's judgment, you know, living a life that offends no one. Are you going to be everybody's cup of tea? No. Is everyone going to agree with your opinions, your thoughts, your behaviors, your actions? No. We're all brought up so differently. We're all shaped differently based on the behaviors of people gone before us, based on their beliefs, their thought patterns, their actions, their habits. And then we start to be able to create our own. However, I did a call the other day with some people, and this was their biggest fear. It was that fear of judgment, fear of other people's opinions and offending people. Now, when we dug down into it, what we realized was no one's giving us their opinions anyway. No one's verbally coming to us and going, hey, that was a crazy comment, or I don't agree with you on that, or you shouldn't have done that, or I can't believe you did that. No one's saying that. So what we discovered was those opinions and judgments was actually our own. And it was mirroring back our own thoughts of ourselves. We weren't owning what we were doing. We weren't owning who we wanted to be. When you do that, when you take full responsibility, that fear of judgment disappears. It goes away. And then you don't ever have to worry about offending someone. Now, Joel and I, we have people that look up to us, that we guide a lot of people. People come to us for inspiration and wisdom and knowledge and coaching. Now, are we going to say something one day that will offend someone, or they'll be like, I can't believe Christine or Joel said that? Absolutely. And we own that, but we're not afraid of that. We know that people out there need to share their thoughts. The world needs to hear your voice because it's unique to you. The way you see the world is so different to the way we do. And I think that's why Joel and I are in the position that we're in, because we do see the world differently to most people. We do, and you have to. We're going through a real awakening right now as a race. And if you don't use this time to do the inner work, to really get to know yourself on a deeper level, then you're going to miss the boat. This is an incredible opportunity for us to go within and really be guided spiritually into the person that we want to blossom into at the end of all this crisis, or whatever you want to call it, that's going on in the world right now. So there's some shifts happening from an energetic perspective in the universe, and we need to tap into that, guys. Not be afraid of it, not be afraid of who we want to be on the other side. We just need to grow with it. We need to go with this experience and look at the positives that are coming from it. And I think that will eliminate a lot of these fears. But if you're not taking 100% responsibility, and if you're not okay with looking silly and messing things up and being a little embarrassed along the way, then you will never be successful. You have to be okay with looking silly. You have to be okay with not knowing everything you need to know. You have to be okay with messing things up and then owning it. Yep, I totally screwed that up. Probably could have done it better. And if you do that, guys, you won't ever fail. You will continue to learn and grow, and that compounds. So I just wanted to add that in there, Joel, for those 5 fears. But I know you've got some others that you want to share from Napoleon Hill.
Yeah, I do. And, you know, just a side note on everything that goes on when you're going through a hard time, and, you know, there's a lot of people going through hard times. There is a lot of fear. You know, people are losing businesses. They lose them all the time. Once again, I keep stressing that it's just happening on a wider scale this time. You know what I mean? So, like, instead of putting your head in the sand and ducking for cover, step up and go, what did I learn? You know, what did I learn from all this? So if your business is in trouble now, then what did you learn? Maybe you could have had better money intelligence. Maybe you could have had more cash stashed rather than running on such a lean way of doing business. You know what I mean? Maybe you could have had more money put aside instead of spending it, thinking that this was never going to happen. You know, what if you decided from now on that you were going to run your business as if this was going to happen every year? You know, what could you learn? You know, Christine says she's got 6 months, you know, without being able to survive for 6 months without income coming in. Well, not many people have got that. So maybe that's what you learn. Holy shit, Christine's got it going on and she's protected herself because she took action years ago. Maybe now I should take that advice and take some action. Like, what is there to learn? Sit up. What opportunities are there now for you to grow your business now? Like, maybe it's not to go sell more stuff. Maybe it's to rectify the way you spend your cash or spend your money. Maybe it's that. Maybe you do need to trim some employees, unfortunately. Like, you know, maybe you need to learn how to implement better strategies, better processes, you know, ask yourself, what is there to learn from this situation? And it really comes back to what Christine said there. Take responsibility. Because if you don't, and you don't learn from this, it's going to come back next time and punch you in the face. You know, we have pandemics every 4 to 5 years. You know, I'm not saying this one's not something to take seriously right now, you know, but then we had 9/11 before that. And then we had the recession. You know, this is not new. It's just different. And it's crushing businesses just like those did, you know? So learn from it so that the next time it happens, you can be ready. So as far as so I'm just going to put a pin in that because that's what I believe needs to happen now. So I learned from 2008. So I'm more ready now. I missed the boat then. I wished I had the guts, because it was really the guts to take advantage of 2008, because I'd be in a different position now. Wished I had but I made sure I got the knowledge then, because I didn't have the cash and I didn't have the guts, but I played Monopoly basically. Oh, this is what I would have done. This is how I would have done it. And I watched the people that were successful. I watched the people that called Chicken Little, the sky's falling in, and seeing where they're at now. They don't have careers. I think there's going to be a lot of careers destroyed after this as well. But yeah, that's it. Learn from it. So I want to talk about the law of retaliation. Now, this law, if you master it, becomes all you need to be the most amazing salesperson. You can also use it, as the media is using it now, to it basically gets people to do whatever you want it to do. If you master this, you can influence people to do whatever you want them to do. Now, what's the law of retaliation? It basically means like attracts like. So those who are angry attract more anger. Those who believe in lack or feel lack are going to get more lack. Those who have success will have more success. So let's just look at this. If I said something nasty to Christine and she got angry and retaliated back at me, I'm actually dominating Christine. I've owned a shit. I've got her to do something that she wasn't ready to do, but she did it because of something that I did. Now, let's look at another example how this works. You've got two kids. One's got a bag of Maltesers. One's got a bag of chips. They're running around the house, and one of the kids walks up to the other one and just goes to reach in and grab some Maltesers out. What's likely to happen, guys? The kid's going to pull away and punch the other kid in the face and go, get away from my stuff, right? That's what's going to happen. I got boys, okay? I got boys. Or it's going to cause a fight, you know? But what if instead of reaching out and just trying to grab and causing the law of retaliation to come in a negative, they reached out and said, hey, would you like to try some of my Maltesers? The other kid's going to put his hand in there, and then what's he going to do? He's going to reach over and say, would you like some of my chips? In most cases. So that's how you can get the law of retaliation to actually work for you. So once you master this, you're going to kill it in sales because you can influence people to do things that are great for them. Now, can you use this for negativity? Absolutely. I'm going to show you how it's being used for negativity right now. But you are good people, and I expect you to hold a high standard and use this for win-win situations, okay? It can be used for good or evil. You need to use it for good because it's being used for evil now. So let's go through some of the fears of man. Everyone has to face these before they become successful. So the fear of poverty. So like that's a huge fear. People are so scared to take a chance because they feel they're going to lose what they've already got, and it's because of the fear of poverty. We need to own that. We need to be willing to roll the dice. Otherwise, the universe is going to probably chuck us into some poverty to get us to actually move. And that's what happened to me. And I'm glad it happened, and I'm glad I learned to face that. Christine's already gone over it, but the fear of criticism. What will they say? What will, like Napoleon Hill explains it like this. Men will wear hats that make them bald just so they don't get criticized for not having this year's a hat on because it was the fashion. Women will buy next season's clothes, like the new clothes every season because they're fearful of what will be said about them if they're wearing last year's clothes. Like, come on. That's the fashion industry using that fear against you so you buy more shit, okay? So, the fear of ill health. People are frightened that they're going to get sick. I wonder where that's being used right now. So, the fear of loss of love. People will are frightened that they're going to, and it goes right back to like caveman times really, but that people are frightened that someone's going to steal their wife or their husband or they're going to say something that their kids won't love them anymore. Something like that, or a friend might not love them anymore. They're frightened of that. The fear of old age, which comes back to the fear of poverty, because so that one can really trigger both the other fears, like the fear of ill health and the fear of poverty is intertwined with the fear of old age. So when we get, which funnily enough, when you talk about what Andy was saying, the fear of regret, you regret that you didn't have a bigger go when you were younger because now it's too late. So it's the fear of being too old to actually freaking do something about your financial situation, or the fear of old age brings in the fear of ill health as well. So, and then the fear of death. We're frightened of, like, out of all the basic fears, we're all like, I have to face this at some time, and it's like I'm reading here, like, this is the grandfather of all the basic fears and the most unnecessary of them all, because it is something over which we have no enduring control. One man who mastered this fear explained how he did it. I believe, he said, that death brings one or other of two conditions, either the result in one long eternal sleep, or it carries us to another world far superior to the one we leave behind, and neither of these possibilities are terrifying. But so many people are frightened. Now, think about this. By the media using these fears to scare the shit out of you, they are using the law of retaliation. They're getting you to retaliate, and we can see it because people are out there buying 7,000 rolls of toilet paper instead of like staying at home and working on their business. They're getting you to do things. What are they getting you to do? I'm not going to put a tinfoil hat on here. But have a look at what you are doing. And is this coming from a standing back, letting the emotion run out of you so you can make a deliberate decision to go get the 7,000 rolls of toilet paper? Or are you acting in a reactive way? Are you reacting to something that they've said that's created the law of retaliation to be invoked? So that was long-winded, Chris. There's a lot of content. I could have spent, like I said, 10 podcasts explaining all that out, but I hope that came across and made sense, because like we need to be in control of ourselves now. This is not a time to be like running around like chickens with our head cut off and letting people instill fear in us. Like, and a side note, this is serious. What's going on is serious. Fear is serious. Like shit that goes on in your life on a day-to-day basis, no matter what time it is serious. We're not saying you shouldn't be responsible. We're just saying, actually, you got to be responsible. So yeah, does it make sense?
I totally agree with that, mate. And there are totally things to, that you can fear out there. But I feel like these ones take people on a deeper level, on a more meaningful level. Now, I just want to go back to that fear of criticism. Something that Napoleon Hill says in his book is that the fear of criticism robs man of his initiative. It destroys his power of imagination and limits his individuality, takes away his self-reliance, and does him damage in 100 other ways. Parents often do their children irreparable injury by criticizing them. Okay, he goes on to say the mother of one of the boyhood chums that used to punish him with a switch almost daily, always completing the job with the statement, "You'll land in the penitentiary before you are 20." That's what his parents used to say. So they used to get the switch of a cord and they would belt him and let this guy know that he was going to end up in jail one day. And guess what happened? That's exactly where this guy ended up. So that fear of criticism, there's some symptoms of it. Okay. And I'm only harping on about the fear of criticism because this is people's major one. And we get it. We get that you want to be liked. Everybody wants to be liked. We want to be liked. We want to be loved. And we want to feel worthy. But if you keep going out there and adjusting your sales in accordance to other people's opinions and other people's thoughts and behaviors and the way that they've been brought up, then you will never truly be yourself, your true, authentic self. And isn't that what we want? Just to be able to go, oh, gosh, I'm glad I said that because I stayed true to me. Yeah. So there's some symptoms. So symptom one is self-consciousness. People that have this fear of judgment, this fear of criticism, this fear of, a life of offending people, you are usually self-conscious. You're very worried about a lot of things, how you look, what you say, all those kind of things. You have a lack of poise. You have your voice is usually lower and meek. You have poor posture, poor memory. Your personality, it lacks firmness and just like decisiveness. You lack that personal charm and the ability to express your opinion freely. You have an inferior complex. That's another symptom of fear of criticism, is having that inferior complex. The habit of expressing self-approval by word of mouth and actions as a means of covering up a feeling of inferiority. So a lot of people wear masks, in that time of inferiority. Extravagance, trying to keep up with the Joneses. How many people out there do that? Joel spoke about that before. Then lack of initiative. So failure to embrace opportunities for advancement, and then lack of ambition. So mental and physical laziness, lack of self-assertion, slow in making decisions and sticking with them and always changing your mind, quitting when things get hard, and you become suspicious of other people as well. So, have a think about those symptoms. Which ones are showing up for you? Which ones do you feel like if you overcame them, you would be able to break free from this fear of criticism? And I want to share that there's so many opportunities out there, guys. There are so many opportunities. I want to share a story of a South Australian and Adelaidean, actually, electrician who bought a property for $1. And it was in Sicily, in Italy. And what he worked out was a lot of the people in that community had moved on. So there's all these empty buildings over there. So the council in Sicily decided to put this, thing out there, sell the properties for $1 and get some new blood, new generation coming through, make it lively again. And so this Adelaide electrician has bought one, and he has worked out that him flying over there, redoing it, renovating it, putting a cafe in underneath is going to be so much cheaper than what he can do. Like, it's going to be like a tenth of the price of what he can do here in Australia. Now, that's an opportunity. Now, this guy said, I can go over there and I can live for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, a few years of, whatever I like. And how amazing is that this guy has just gone, grabbed this opportunity by the horns, done his due diligence, and has just seized it. Now, we've got opportunities like that everywhere. But what we see is that people drop back into mediocrity. They drop back into what they think society expects of them, instead of pushing the boundaries, instead of towing the line and going, I wonder what's on the other side of that comfort zone. I wonder what, if I took a little bit of risk with this, what would happen? Now, is life risky? Absolutely. None of us are going to get out alive. But as we said at the start, we're not going to sit there on our deathbed with regret. We're not going to sit there with insignificance. We're not going to sit there and go to our grave knowing that we didn't matter to anybody. So we want the same for you. So think about that when it comes to that fear of judgment, and have a think about the last time someone really, most of the time we're not even having real conversations anymore. We're not getting to the nitty gritty. We're bringing up conversations that the masses talk about all the time. We're bringing up conversations that we think we should have. Why don't we dig a little bit deeper? Why don't we have more enriched relationships where we really get down to the nuts and bolts of how people are really feeling in life right now? What's going on with them at a mental and spiritual level, rather than just the niceties that we're expected to have with people. Let's have deeper, more meaningful connections and conversations and communication with people. And this is the perfect time to do that. Start getting to know people on a different level. I've done this with a few people, and when I've got down to it, I'm kind of like, oh, I don't think that person's actually my kind of person. Now that I've dug right down and pulled a few layers back, it's great. It's so great to know people on a different level, on a different layer, on a different level of consciousness, and really find out if you are aligned. This is a great way to really live and have those enriched relationships. And I think it was Bob Proctor said the other day, how many people can you call at 2 a.m. in your life right now that would pick up the phone if you needed them? And he said, I'm honored to know that I would have at least 50 people that I could call that would take that call at 2 a.m. How many of us have that level of relationship with people? Not many. Not many of you. A lot of the listeners are probably thinking, wow, I've probably got 1 or 2, but 50? No way. That's life. That's living. That's serving people. That's leaving a legacy. That's having enriched relationships. And that's what we want for you guys. So Joel, I don't know if this is all part of fear, but it's such a massive topic. We could talk for days on this.
We could do, it's funny, we could do a podcast on each of the fears. Like, it could be a series, I don't know, but like the fear of criticism could go on forever. The fear of poverty, ill health, loss of love, loss of liberty. There's so much that people just fear. And like you said, we're not getting out alive. And I don't know how I do it is I have a dice roll in my head. I just roll the dice and I think, well, what if I roll snake eyes and I come up with a shitty roll, what's the worst that could happen? And And then you ask yourself, is that true? Is it really true? Because, you know, when you're starting a business, you know, or taking on an opportunity, like we know people in the network marketing industry, and they, you know, we love the network marketing industry ourselves. And, you know, people to hand over that money and start creating an income for themselves, you know, many of them in their minds are thinking, oh, starting a business, if this doesn't go right, I'm going to be without a house. And they start thinking like the whole world's going to end. And realistically, what's the worst that could happen? Well, they don't like it and they don't do it anymore because it's just not their thing. And what are they at? You know, a couple $100 at the most. You know, like out of the amount of money that you're going to spend in the rest of your life, like that is just nothing. And you know, like that person that took the house for $1 overseas, like what's the worst that could happen? He spent $1 and he never goes over there, and someone else takes over it, and whoop-de-doo. He goes over and builds it, and then it doesn't work out for him. You're not going to die from it. You know, people lose their houses every day. That doesn't mean that you should be frightened to get going. But those same people that lose their houses or lose their business can quite often pick themselves back up again and go for it again. They don't give up. They keep going. You know what I mean? So like, yeah, like these fears are crazy. And I like the fear of criticism is a huge one. It's like, I'll admit it's taken me out of the game many times, especially in my younger years. I see it taking people out of the game now, you know, and like I can paraphrase what I'm reading here. Like the fear of what they will say is one of the ideas or plans that keeps millions of people from using their initiative to bring forth ideas that can make them rich. The fear of criticism causes some minds to close up like clams, therefore depriving individuals of priceless opportunities to improve themselves by the discovery of their weaknesses, mistakes, and poor judgment. The person who invites criticism, he knows that it may reveal to him some advantage that he had overlooked or bring him some opportunity that he had not expected. So if someone gives you shit, like, thank them, because maybe you do suck at that one thing that you tried at. You know, maybe they're saving you some problems. Maybe they're showing you that that's where you need to improve, or maybe that's a place that you can expand. Like, that's not the worst. Like, words don't hurt. You know, if people reach out to share an opportunity and you say no, how's that any different from when you come over to someone's house and they say, would you like a drink of water? And you say no. They don't go crying off into their bedroom when that happens. It's no different. You know, or so, I don't know. I don't. I might try that next time and see how that works. But I might cause the law of retaliation to happen. But yeah, that's it. Like, that's where we're at. Like, so Christine, I guess the next part is we've identified the problem. People are going to be listening to this going, okay, well, we're hearing you. How do we overcome this? Things are tough. Things are, I am frightened. There is fear in my life. Like, and it doesn't matter when you're listening to this, because there's always going to be something going on somewhere. And, you know, like, so like let's go to mediocrity. Like fear of actually doing something that's amazing. You know, Andy Frisella says that it's like, just having that nice house, that nice truck that doesn't really offend anyone, and just like, you know, like just doing enough to get by, you know, like what do you say to that? Like, what do you say to that, and how do you overcome it?
I think the way to overcome mediocrity is really getting clarity around how you actually want your life to look. If you could design it any way you wanted, we as a society, I think we beat the inspiration and the creativity out of people. We shape them into the shape we want them, so they fit in the box, so they fit in the system, and we stop dreaming. We lose that inner child playfulness with our creativity and our imagination. So, you know, I've always wanted a house with stairs, but the stairs that you can put a slide. And that's still on my vision board today. If I get a house, like a double-story house, there will be a slide going in where I can slide from the top floor down to the bottom, or a fireman's pole would be pretty cool as well. So, you know, and that's like, why do we lose these fun things that we want? You know, why do we settle? You know, I definitely like living a life of mediocrity and doing the bare minimum and dropping into laziness. It's not serving you. It's not serving your family. It's not serving your community or the rest of the world. You're missing out on seeing what you're truly capable of. So the way to overcome mediocrity is to, what do you really want? Like, let's talk about health right now. Is your health mediocre? Probably. Could you be doing a better job? Absolutely. We all could be doing a better job. Most people are not even doing the bare minimum when it comes to their health. But if you want to improve your health, if you want to have outstanding, exceptional health, then you've got to go from, yeah, I've got fairly good health to great. And if you aim for great, you'll have good health. If you aim for exceptional, you'll have great health. You know what I mean? So you've got to know what it is that you actually want and then put the action steps in place to achieve that. And we've spoken about this on other podcasts as well. So I think that would be my first thing on how to overcome mediocrity, is just get really clear around what it is you actually want.
It's hilarious right now. I see so many people out there drinking, day drinking. They're sitting on the lounge watching Netflix, drinking alcohol, and they're the same ones that would have complained that they didn't have the time to build their side income, which could be actually having them thrive through this at the moment, or starting that business, or reading that book, or doing that course, you know. So that it's just, and unfortunately, like this is the numbers I see. 95% of the planet is mediocre. I'm sorry. Like, you either want to join the 5% and or you can sit there and be mediocre and complain that the 5% have everything. It's because they don't play small. They have a go. So like mediocrity for me is, yeah, like it's like poison. Like I couldn't stand it. Just the thought of living, you know, without choice, because that's what mediocre people do. They're not sitting in choices. Now, do I have as many choices as, you know, Andy Frisilla right now? No, I just don't. So that I look at that and go, wow, I need to play at a bigger level, because I'm looking at people that inspire me. I'm like, well, he's younger than me and he's further in front than me. How's that sit with you? That there's young people that are making more money and more impact than you. Are you okay with that? Like, and if you're young, look to the people that are actually having a go, or look to me. I'm openly saying, well, shit, I would love to be where Andy Frisilla is today, or Ed Milet. Well, great. Am I doing what they're doing? No, not yet at the same level, but yes, I'm doing the things that they're telling me to do, because they don't need the money. They're not selling me a course. They're showing you how to do it. So do what people are doing that are successful, not exactly what they're saying maybe, but like that's a big one. Like, don't be at home drinking bottles of wine and thinking it's funny, sharing it on Facebook with your loser friends. Get off your ass and get out. Like, I'm fitter now with all this stuff that's going on than I was before it. Because and I can tell you, the people that are doing the 75 hard, not one of them has skipped a beat for the mindset wise out of the people that are actually doing it. And in fact, because Christine and I are out and other people are out shining the light that the 75 hard can still be done, and there's no time constraint now for most people, more people are jumping on and they're going, wow, this is really working. I'm like, oh, we weren't selling you a lie. So yeah, that's it. So Christine, like my explanation for fighting mediocrity is to get off your ass and actually
Absolutely.
do something. So
it's so simple. It is so simple. And I think people just drop back into that default. They just drop back into what the masses are doing. And if you want to live an extraordinary life, you can't do that. If you're okay and you want to live a content life and you want to be part of the masses and you don't want to step away from mediocrity, that's okay. But our listeners, I know you want more. You're listening to this podcast because you want more. So have a look. Where are you being mediocre in your life? And when it comes to insignificance, the quickest way to overcome insignificance is to contribute. I really feel like contribution is the quickest shortcut way to have fulfillment. you know, and most of us chase happiness, whereas I feel like we should be chasing fulfillment, you know, and that comes from making a difference. It comes from serving others. It comes from not making everything about yourself. How can you help someone? How can you empower somebody else? How can you contribute in a way where you feel good and the other person feels good in a positive way that's uplifting? How can you reach down and bring people with you through this self-evolution process? And I feel like that's the quickest, easiest way to overcome insignificance, Joel, is to make a difference in someone else's life. Stop making it about yourself.
Contribution is just a way to get the law of retaliation to happen. Like the two kids having the you know, he's contributing to the other kids, you know, probably sugar problems. We're talking about health, but you know, like the kid offering some of his, that's contribution. And what does he get back immediately? He gets back that and more. You know what I mean? So it's win-win. So like, you know, I don't know, like regret, like we've gone over the life that offends no one, like with the fear of criticism, but you know, let's go over that actually, like a life that offends no one. Cause like I went through stages and I have got more and more, and like I do offend people now, and I'm okay with that. Like I've had people jump off training calls and like later on want apologies from me because I've said stuff, I've stood my ground and I've said what is right for me, and they didn't like it. I've had people disagree with me adamantly online and, you know, start all that stuff and, you know, start crap. I've had people leave chat groups because I've said something that's, you know, hasn't suited their model of the world. And that's okay, because like when they leave, that's just leaving a vacuum for more people that are on the same path as you, and you can do more in cooperation than you can, you know, arguing with people. And sitting in the middle, you know, hasn't helped. Like we've got the 75 hard group going. I offend people in there every damn day because I'm not serving them by saying, yes, it's okay to do the 75 hard and do it your way and do it half, you know, and people congratulating each other for doing half a job. That is the biggest load of crap I've ever heard. And if you are one of the people that are doing that and you're listening to this and I offend you, great. That means you're doing something that you know deep down. If it offends you, you know deep down you're screwing it up. And that's why your life isn't where you want it to be. And you can go, these people can go pay all this money to all these gurus to learn the secret to success. And when they tell you, you don't want to hear the answer. So you've gone all around the world learning from the best of the best about what the secret to success is. And people are willing to spend millions of dollars to find out what that is. And when they're told, they go, oh, well, I didn't want to know that it was actually get off my ass. So like, I offend people. This podcast offends people. There's, you know, like it's just the way it is. And you know what? I don't get off on offending people. I just know that I'm not serving them if I'm letting them believe their own bullshit. I'm not here for you to tell me stories about why you can't have everything you want in your life. That's not what this podcast is about. This podcast was designed for you to take the reins of your own life, to get in the driver's seat, to be the boss of your own life. And anything less than that, I just can't tolerate. I can't tolerate it for you, and I can't tolerate it for me. And I don't want that energy around myself or my family because I'm frightened I might catch it. I think it's more contagious than the bullshit that's going around now. So mediocrity and insignificance and all these fears, people that live in those things and tell their stories, it's contagious. You need to like lance it away from your life and get rid of it. So like, there's an example of offending people, Christine. So I know you're pretty good at it too. I didn't mean to do that, but it just came out.
Well, I think people have fear around this because I think also they're afraid that it's going to be true. So, you know, a lot of my friends growing up when we were in high school would take me shopping. I don't like clothes shopping. It's not one of my passions. But my friends would take me along when they went shopping because I would tell them my truth. I would tell them how they would look in certain outfits, you know, and that's why they took me along. Christine, what do you think of this one? I'd be like, nah, that's no good. That doesn't work with your body shape, or that's not your color, or, you know, and I love that they saw that in me, that they saw that truth, that I was genuinely there trying to help them better themselves, you know. And, you know, it's same in adulthood now. I have friends come to me in ridiculous relationships, like relationships that are just holding them back. Now, I'm not going to be that friend that just says, poor you, that's so tough. No, if I see it, I'm going to call it how I see it. If I know that you deserve better, that you are lacking self-worth, and this is not the relationship for you, I'm going to share that with you. And then what you do with that information is up to you. But I'm not going to my deathbed going, oh, shit, I wish I had told that person what I really thought. No, my friends are still my friends because I share from that heart space. They know I've got good intentions. Now, do some of them leave? Yeah. Do some of them stay? Yeah. But they don't love me any less because I've given them that opinion. They take it on board and they make their own decisions. So I think that, you know, and this is for the people pleasers out there as well. I was a people pleaser. I would change my verbiage and what I was going to say because I thought it was what the other person wanted to hear. So I used to be that person, and guess what? It was fucking exhausting. It was so exhausting trying to think, oh, I think this is what they really want me to say right now. I think they're going to like me more if I say this. Oh, I don't want to say that because that's just going to offend them. And yeah, I don't want to do that. So I became the people pleaser for a section of my life because I wanted to be liked. I loved how being liked made me feel. You know, it made me feel significant. It made me feel important. But it got to a stage where I was so fucking exhausted trying to please everyone all the time and being the yes man that it was detrimental to my own health. It was detrimental to my sanity. It was detrimental. And this is one of the reasons why I went from being a one-on-one PT to going into groups more, because, you know, people come in and they think that their shit is the worst thing on the planet, you know? So sometimes we have to, and Joel said this before, you know, is this really true? Is one of the greatest questions you can ask yourself. So if someone is giving you an opinion, which is very rare that people actually give you their opinions these days, but when they do, ask yourself, is this really true? And if that criticism or if that comment or that opinion is beneficial to you growing and evolving and becoming better, then take it on board. But if it's not really true and they've misinterpreted or misunderstood or they don't really know you well enough, and I'll give an example. I had a troll about nearly 12 months ago. And I thought it was hilarious. This person was going to town on me and they didn't even know me. And when I called them on it and said, I don't know what I've done to offend you, but I'm sending you so much love and positivity right now because obviously something's not going well in your world. And then it stopped. It absolutely stopped. Now, I could have sat there and gone, oh my gosh, there's someone out there that really hates me and they're hating on me right now. And this, you know, to me, I brushed it off. You know, that Taylor Swift, shake it off. I shook it off. I wasn't giving this person any of my time, attention, energy, or power. Now, when you can live like that, far out, it is freeing. You feel so free. And guess what? Your health will be better. You will actually blossom. Your health will blossom because you're not living with all this worry, all this fear. You know what that does to your system, guys? It's crazy. The stress that you're causing on your body, living in fear of what other people think, is ridiculous and it's going to make you sick. So stop worrying about it. Release the worry. Okay, just get on with life. Just be you, your true, authentic self, and stop trying to be liked by everybody all the time. And another reason why you're so worried about offending people is that you're judging other people. You're judging them behind their back. And yes, we need judgment because it's a safety mechanism. Like if you're in Nashville, which we were, and we saw this massive massive guy coming towards us at 5 a.m. in the morning, we were making a judgment that this guy that looked homeless and looked aggressive, we made the judgment that we had to cross the road. We had to get out there as quickly as possible because this person did not look kind. That is judgment that you need because it keeps you safe. It's a survival mechanism. But all the other judgment, judging people and not even really knowing them or not knowing their backstory. I mean, Lauren shared this the other day, a story of this guy that told this mother, this woman, to shut her kids up. They were just running amok. And he's like, can you just control your kids, please? And she walked over to him and said, I'm just trying to figure out what I'm going to say to them when I get home to let them know that their mother's just died. And now this guy, how do you think he felt in that moment? Because he didn't know the background story. We don't know anyone's background story. We've got no idea what's going on. I've been in road rage incidents, not where I've been driving the car, where I've been a passenger. And these people get out of their cars and they look scary and they're yelling and shouting, they're aggressive. I don't know that person's background story. He might have just lost his wife. He might have just had his house burned down. He might be so stressed he might have lost his job. I don't know that. So can we stop being so quick to judge and get to know people or get to know the other side, or stop trying to tear people down and let's lift people up instead? Instead of looking at that person that's overweight coming towards you and making a judgment on laziness or like the way that they look, why not say a kind compliment as they pass? Why not give them a smile? Why not compliment on the way that their bright top or the way that they look? Like, why do we have to always sink back down into that other side where we're judging negatively on people all the time? Let's pull the potential out of people rather than squashing them down into the box that we want them to fit in. So that's probably all I wanted to say on that, Joel. Do you have any closing remarks?
Christine, that was like, that was one of your best. I love that. And I really hope that the listeners here are hearing some of the things that they're doing, that we're saying here, and going, wow, I'm on the right track. There's stuff that I'm doing that these guys are saying to do, and suggestions they're making and teachings that they're teaching, and I'm already doing it. So if you're hearing that, congratulate yourself. Don't be hard, because I'm reading The Law of Success. I read avidly now because of the 75 Hard, and I'm loving that book, and I'm just getting so many pats on the back because I'm like, wow, I'm really doing that. No wonder things are going well for me. And then there's certain things in there I'm like, oh my goodness, I dropped the ball on that. I need to improve that there. So I hope this is what you're hearing here. And Christine, that was bang on. I love that, pulling the potential out of people. When we were doing the stairs in Melbourne, there was a really big guy, and we were doing 5 laps and or 3 laps, and he was flat doing 1, and he was stopping on the way up and everything like that. And, he looked pretty defeated. And as I just ran past him, I said, hey, how you going, man? Look, I'm coming back up, meet you at the top. And he smiled and he got back up and he started going. And I don't think I ran into him again after that, but maybe, there would have been people walking past him, judging him, and in my younger days, maybe I would have too. But now I look at him and go, well, geez, I know what it's like to be overweight, not that overweight. And the fact that at least he's getting off his butt, because there could have been a million people there that needed to do that exercise from Victoria, I'd say. And yet he was the one that was out there doing it. So high five to him. He'll probably never know that I said this, but yeah, that's it. So I guess regret is the last one I want to just as a closing remark. I don't want to go into it deeply, but just know that no matter what your beliefs are around, what happens after we die, maybe it's a long sleep, maybe it's nothing, maybe we come back. I choose to believe that, that we get to the end and we get to look back at our life and we get to go all the way back to when we were born, because the doctor doesn't pick you up on the day of your birth and say, geez, here's a mediocre one. He says you have unlimited potential right there. You have the choices to make right from that day, because you're on the path to the other end No matter whether you like it, you got a death sentence the day you're born, and you're on the way, and you could make a series of decisions that could mean that you are the prime minister, you are the next, like, Bill Gates, you're the next, like, richest person on the planet. You could be the world's biggest, giver of charity. You could do all these things. You have unlimited potential then. So there is a timeline where you go running off, and you're going to have this your highest true potential. And then there's what you are when you die. Don't you want to look like a twin of that person? Like when you meet that person at the end of your life and you look at them, and Ed Milet says this so well. He wants to look like the twin of the highest true potential person that he could have ever been, because he believes that there's two of us. There's the one that is unlimited potential, sees everything, does everything right, becomes the best that they physically could have been in this mortal version. And then there's what we are at the end. Don't you want to look closer to being the twin of the person that's reached their highest true potential? Or do you want to let these fears that we're talking about take you out of the game, put you on the benches while everyone else is having a crack at it? Like, I want to be partying with guys like Ed Milet in the next life. And if you don't, well, I don't know, maybe you don't, maybe you got to come back and get the lesson. I don't know. I'm thinking often now about the age of someone's soul. Like, I think that Christine's an old soul. I get told I'm an old soul. I don't know whether I believe that or not, but maybe we've been here enough times that we're starting to get it. Well, skip the line. Just get it now. Like, get it. Don't waste your potential on an opinion that doesn't matter and probably isn't even in existence anyway, because people's opinion, they're not even worried about you. They're worried about themselves. So just go and do whatever the freaking hell you want. Collect their opinions, collect their knowledge, whatever you want to do, and then go do whatever you want, because that's the happiness comes from within. When you do that, you feel fulfilled, and you just have this tremendous life. So, like, don't let the media now take you out of the game. You're going to regret it. Just freaking go for it now. There's so much opportunity for you right now. There's so much opportunity for me, my kids, Christine, and seriously, just, that's it, Christine. That's all I want to say. Just fucking go for it. Stop.
I love it, mate. And so much gold there. And I love that idea around, having that twin and wanting to, be that twin at the end. I think that's amazing. Another empowering question for our listeners to ask is, what if I could? Ask yourself that. What if I could live my best life? What would that look like? What if I could take that risk? What if I could take that opportunity? What if I could be less judgmental? What if I could get rid of the fear of judgment? And I just want to finish on, the fear of death, just to close out. That, honestly, guys, that fear is useless. It really is. Death is going to come no matter what. So please don't fear it. And you need to accept it as a necessity, okay? Everything in life is energy and matter. And, what you believe, happens after death is totally up to you. But it's literally just a mere transition. And something that Buddha said was, even death is not to be feared by one who has lived wisely. So go out there and live wisely, guys, while you're awake, while you still can, while you have your faculties, while you're physically and mentally fit enough to do so. So that's it from us, and we'll see you on the next podcast.
Damn. Yeah.